Let me just tell you a bit about the devil first, so that you've got a clear picture in your mind of what we're praying against. First of all, the Bible does not paint him as a horned creature with a forked tail. That's the sort of thing that makes us laugh at him, take him less than seriously. See, the Bible says he's a real person. The Bible never calls the devil it, always he. Next, the Bible says that he has a heart and a mind and a will. And if a heart and a mind and a will don't make a personality, I don't know what does. It talks about the devil's feelings, talks about his thoughts, and it talks about his motives. And that means to me a person. So the devil is not just a kind of vague word to sum up all the forces of evil in the world. No, he is a person in his own right. And if there were no human beings at all, Satan would still exist. Now, Jesus himself took Satan desperately seriously. He never made a joke about him. He never laughed at him. He never caricatured him. Here are some of the titles that Jesus gave Satan. He said he is the prince of this world. When Satan offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world, Jesus did not say they are not yours to give, because he knew perfectly well they were Satan's to give. And it is a horrible thought, if you really realize it, that the world in which we live is ruled over by Satan. He is the prince of this world. But let's take it a step further. Do you know that another title Jesus gave to Satan? He said he's not only the ruler or prince of this world, he is the God of this world. The only other person beside his heavenly Father to whom Jesus ever applied the word God was Satan. He said, my heavenly Father is God of everything, but of this world Satan is God, which means very simply not only that Satan controls this world and is able to manipulate science and education and politics for his own ends. More than that, Satan is actually the real God whom most people on earth worship, whether they know it or not. That behind so much religion, behind so much activity, Satan is the one who's being worshipped. He's the person. And even by some who go to church and chapel on Sunday, in reality, he's their God. For they worship the things that he offers them. They want the things of the world that he belongs to and rules over, rather than setting their mind on the things that are above, where Jesus is. And if you want this world, and if you want the things of this world, then I give you a piece of advice. Make Satan your God. If you want this world, he's a wonderful God to have, because he'll give it to you. There's always a price to pay. When the bill comes in, you may not be quite so happy, but he'll give it to you. He can give you money, he can give you fame, he can give you anything you want, because it's his to give. Where have you been, Satan, says God in the book of Job? Well, I've been patrolling the earth. I've been looking around my estate. And he had. Now let's get this clear. That doesn't mean that God is helpless in this world. It does mean, and we've got to think this through, that God is allowing Satan to be prince of this world and God of this world. He's allowed it. And people say, what does God think he's doing allowing that? Well, I would just say my only answer to that one is, what's he doing allowing you to be like you are? Why should you blame him for allowing Satan to rebel when he allowed you to? The answer is very simple. He's a father, and he will not force any of his creatures to go his way. And he gives you freedom to rebel. And we can't grumble about him giving the angels freedom, though they have superior intelligence and strength, because he gave us the same freedom, and we've used it in the wrong way. Do you know there are 2 books in the Bible that the devil hates more than any other 2 books in the Bible? Out of all 66, there are 2 that say more about him than any others, and it's these that he has attacked more than any others. They are the one at the beginning and the one at the end, Genesis and Revelation. And you know why he hates them? Because Genesis describes his devices and Revelation describes his doom. And he hates those 2 books. And there has been more scholarly attack on the book of Genesis than any other book, and more attempt to turn it into myth and legend and away from fact than any other book in the Bible. Why? Because Satan doesn't want you to believe that Genesis 3 ever happened. He doesn't want you to know how he got hold of Eve. He doesn't want you to believe that he said what he did to that first married couple. And he attacks the book of Genesis But the other book which he hates more than any other is the book of Revelation. Because as you read through that book, you come to a point where it says that the devil himself will be cast into the lake of fire. Do you know that Jesus told us to pray every day about the devil? Do you know that? The original prayer that he taught his disciples when they said, Lord, teach us to pray. He said, pray like this. Say, Dad in heaven. Then pray for the things he wants. His name, his will, his kingdom. Then he said, pray for the things you need. You need food, you need forgiveness. Then he said, finish by praying this. Deliver us from the evil one. We've turned evil into a thing in our thinking. It's not a thing, it's a person. There's no evil anywhere in the universe apart from persons. Evil is an intensely personal thing. There's no love in the universe apart from persons who love. And so evil is personal. And Jesus said, pray daily, deliver us from the evil one. Start your prayer by thinking of your dad in heaven, but end your prayer by thinking of the devil on earth and go out to face him.
The apocalypse of what's supposed to happen and how there just may be, according to the Bible itself, a real zombie apocalypse. Wonder why that is. The Bible talks about something that's going to take place for 5 months. Now watch what takes place in this 5-month period. Verse 6, and in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it. What does that mean? It means people will try to die. They'll want to die. They will seek death, but the Bible says they shall not find it. What happened to death? For something like 5 months, there'll be a time when people want to die, but they can't. What's that sound like? The undead walking around. And it continues, and in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it. Zombies. And shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So death shall flee from them. So something's going to take place out here where for 5 months people will want to die, but they can't die. Death, they'll seek it, but they can't find it. And death will flee from them. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is. But I believe the Bible, something's going to happen out here in the future for 5 months. People will want to die, and they can't. Does that mean zombies? Does that mean when they do die, then their body just continues like a zombie?
Okay, so y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Let's go. I'm gonna just let people just listen, y'all. Listen, yo. Oh my God.
Darkness, exposing the cockroaches, watching them scatter every day, including this 29th day of September 2021. Welcome to the Stu Peters Show. My name is Stu Peters. Well, to prove that there is nothing to fear from vaccine boosters, resident White House dementia patient Administrator Joe Biden publicly received a Pfizer booster shot on Monday. At least that's what we are told to believe, because that's what the media showed us on TV. Has to be legit. One day later, the White House announced that the president's trip to Chicago is postponed, supposedly so he can negotiate with lawmakers about the Democrats' big spending bill. But no, you won't see him in public in that span. Why, do you ask? The Biden administration is still pursuing its plan to force a vaccine into the arms of every living and breathing organism that scours, crawls on, or occupies America, regardless of age, health status, or religious conviction. But that dictatorial push just isn't enough. So they're also expanding their push to booster shots. Of course, those will be mandatory soon as well. Soon everybody will be paying their mandatory tribute to Pfizer, to Moderna, to Johnson & Johnson every 6 months for the right to travel, go outside, hold a job, have a life. And they're racing forward aggressively. Even the CDC's own advisory committee on immunization practices voted against endorsing booster shots for healthcare workers and teachers. But last Friday, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky just overruled them. The Biden administration's political priorities come first, and that means more vaccines being forced into more arms. Dr. Carrie Madej says that she's personally examined multiple vials of the vaccines that are being forced into people's arms, And she says that she was horrified by what she saw.
This gonna blow your mind.
Harder than she ever has before. She says other American labs have looked at the contents of the vaccine vials only to shut down shortly after. And Dr. Carrie Madej joins us now. Doctor, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Stu. It's my pleasure to be here.
So you sent these images to the show. I've looked at them. I have to say that I was creeped out, but then again, I realized I don't know what I'm looking at here, so help me out.
Listen.
Okay, so first of all, it was in July that a local lab in Georgia said they wanted me to examine contents of a vial that they had just received. This vial was fresh. It had already been used to be injected into at least one patient. Because it was the end of the day, they were going to discard it, so they were able to get the vial. And this particular vial was Moderna. And so I was there to witness them getting that and putting some of the contents on a glass slide with a compound microscope to look at it. And it was nothing was added to this solution, nothing was diluted, no human tissue was added. Only the white light for the microscope. And of course, over time, it was becoming more room temperature from the refrigeration. That was it. And so at first it looked just translucent. And then as time went on, over 2 hours, colors appeared, which I've never seen anything like this. There wasn't a chemical reaction happening. It was a brilliant, like blue and royal purple and a yellow and sometimes green. And so these colors appearing, I did not know what that was. After investigating more, a superconducting material can do that with white light being emitted to it. Okay, a superconducting material would be something like an injectable computing system. Anyhow, these fibers were appearing more and more. Some of the fibers had a little cube structure on that. I'm not sure what that was.
Listen.
And also metallic fragments were in there. They were not metallic fragments I'm used to seeing, more exotic. They were very opaque, as well as, as the edge of the cover slide goes, so the cover slip, and you put a glass partition on that or a piece on top of the glass slide, there are edges. And so all the particulates, all these colors started to move to the edge, and there was self-assembling going on. Things were growing. They looked synthetic. And then there was one particular object or organism, I'm not sure, that had tentacles coming from it, and it was able to lift itself up.
Listen, let me go back for y'all.
And so all the particulates, all these colors started to move to the edge, and there was self-assembling going on. Things were growing. They looked synthetic. And then there was one particular, I'd say, object or organism, I'm not sure what to call it, that had tentacles coming from it. And it was able to lift itself up off of the slide.
It was alive? Like the thing was alive?
It appeared to be self-aware or be able to grow or move in space. I mean, all I can tell you is this is not something they taught us in medical school, nothing in my laboratories, nothing that I've seen before. And I've showed this to other people in the field, and they don't know what it is either. And I thought, when I first saw this, and I kept looking at it over and over again, I had a colleague with me, and we both thought, wow, this almost appears like it's self-aware, like it knows we're watching it. It's just an intuition, a feeling of mine, but it was very upsetting. And so after
listen, y'all,
2.5 hours,
let me pause this really quick. So, watch this. Let me show y'all something. Watch this. There's not gonna, let me let y'all explain, I'm explaining something to y'all. There's not gonna be no cell. It's called Prometheus. Long story short, this lady and her boyfriend were scientists, right? They discovered a cave, and inside of this cave, it was like hieroglyphics pretty much pointing, and it was like a map or something, pointing them to a planet. They eventually get to this planet, y'all. Shit get crazy, okay? Her and the boy had sex. The boy ended up dying because he just like got sick and broke out and just tweaked out or whatever. Fast forward to this part. So there is going to be no sound. She finds out that she's pregnant. Y'all, she like, how? That's not possible. So they have a machine where she about to give herself a goddamn abortion. Because she like, something ain't right. Right? So keep looking. Like, then this baby is growing really fast. So she getting inside the machine. She about to inject herself. I guess that's the epidural. It was a robot on the ship with them that's trying to force her to have this baby because they want to know the origin of the baby. And she like, fuck no. Like, her baby daddy dead. Like, bitch, I ain't even supposed to be pregnant. What is this inside my body? So she's having the abortion, right? So watch this. Like, I instantly thought of this when I saw that shit, y'all. Watch this. Give herself another epidural. I guess that's the amniotic sac or whatever. It's gonna burst. Now look at this shit, y'all. What do that look like to y'all? So, what's very interesting is, right, y'all remember the law that was passed, the thing that was done in 2013, the patent? So watch this. The case was originally heard in Southern District Court of New York. Proponents of the validity of these patents argued that recognizing such patents would encourage investment in biotechnology and promote innovation in genetic research by not keeping technology shrouded in secrecy. Long story short, this is the thing that literally says that, you know, you can't patent human DNA, but with the mRNA, you know what? It can be patented. Look who they was up against in court. Prometheus. The name of this particular movie is Prometheus, y'all. The name of this movie is Prometheus. Oh my God. So, let me show y'all the 2013 court ruling and what that means. What specifically this was. I'm going to show y'all exactly what this is, what this means.
In 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that if a human is injected with a GMO, that they become a patented piece of property from the government.
Here you go. Y'all can look it up yourself. There's a bunch of pages to read, I'm telling you, cuz. This is some bullshit. This is their game right here. And take away all your rights with mRNA. Fucking criminals.
Do y'all not understand? Okay, so like I said, this particular patent. Do you not understand, yo? What is that? Do you not know who they just... Listen, bro. Listen. Prometheus, bro. This... Oh, my God, yo. Look what I just showed y'all. Do y'all see what just came out of this lady, bro? And this movie is called Prometheus. Like, no. Let's look at this again. Like, look, bro. Look what's coming out of this lady, bro. And then we're going to go back to the breaking news. Hold on. Oh, my God. Like, look what's coming out this lady. She had sex with her boyfriend who was infected. She wasn't infected. She just had sex with her boyfriend, bro, that was infected.
Organisms that are robotic will be in your body, okay? They can assemble, disassemble, and reassemble, and to do innumerable things into the body. So the idea of this would be, it's a way for it to gather information from your body. So you could get your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your heart rate, which sounds good. Okay, gather that information. However, it's also has a potential to be used for other things. It can gather how many steps you've taken, if you've fallen, if you're swimming, if you're running, if you're menstruating, how your menstrual cycle goes, if you're having sex, if you're sleeping. It actually has a potential to know your emotions, okay? All of this data, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year is being accumulated. And where's it going? Well, they claim it goes to a smart app like your phone, the iCloud, or any smart device. But who's getting this information? Who is using it? What are they using it for? That has not been answered. So the other important thing to know is they're gathering all this information about us. And we're putting that out. So we're being connected to artificial intelligence. You have to know this is not just a vaccine. We're being connected to artificial intelligence. So just like a phone, you have your smartphone, you can send a text, you can send an email, but then the phone or someone else can send something back to you, to your phone. That means something can send something back to our bodies, messages or information. Well, what could happen from that? I could imagine that you could be affected with your mood or your behavior, your memory. That could really cause a lot of problems, a lot of confusion. And who's in charge of this? The Department of Defense, Bill and Melinda Gates? Who's doing this? We don't have answers yet, but this is something real to know. This is being proposed.
In Papua New Guinea, there's a tribe that eat each other, okay? It's one of the only places in the world that gets curry disease, which is a cannibal disease. Kuru. And basically, the prion, exactly what's in these vaccines, or whatever you want to call them.
RNA outside of your cells is a prion. RNA outside of your cells is a prion. The vaccines contain mRNA. Any leakage of that material produces a prion.
Crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells, which will become micro receivers of electromagnetic fields, where waves of very low frequencies will be sent. And through these low frequency waves, people will be unable to think. You'll be turned into a zombie. Don't think of this as a hypothesis. This has been done. Think of Rwanda. There isn't much information I could find about Pierre Gilbert, but what he said 26 years ago certainly rings true today. In 2016, The Guardian published Genetically Engineered Magnetoprotein Remotely Controls Brain and Behavior.
Hey everyone, hey Doc Skinner here with 1028 Live. Look, have you ever been told always read the what's it called, the service term agreements? People always talk about that, but no one ever does, right? I want you all to go to Amazon and check this out, so you know I'm not bullshitting you. Okay, check this out. I'm gonna pause this. Let me flip the camera around. All right, so this is Amazon.com. service.terms or /service.terms, or you see it. All right. So it's very, very, here, hold on. It's very, 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 very lengthy. Okay. This is, since August 18th, 2021, universal terms, service terms, right? And it goes on and on and on, and you can check this out yourself. Okay. If you don't believe me. So we're going to go down here. 10. All right, 4210. I'm going to read this really, really quick, okay? Acceptable use, safety critical systems. Your use of lumberyard materials must comply with the AWS acceptable use policy. The lumberyard materials are not intended for the use with life critical or safety critical systems such as the use in operation of medical equipment, automated transportation systems, autonomous vehicles, aircraft or air traffic control, nuclear facilities, manned spacecraft, or military use in connection with live combat. However, this restriction will not apply in the event of the occurrence certified by the United States Center for Disease Control successor body. Widespread viral infection transmitted via bites or contact with bodily fluids that cause human corpses to reanimate and seek to consume living human flesh, blood, brain, and nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organized civilization. What the fuck? Right there, look yourself. aws.amazon.com, service-terms. Go check it for yourself. Kind of makes sense now when the CDC put out a report on zombie attacks and the fact that the CDC and our government did a drill on zombie attacks. Look it up. But that right there, that was just sent to me, and that is frickin' insanity.
The Ash experiment is one of psychology's oldest and most popular pieces of research. A volunteer is told that what he doesn't know is that the other participants are actors, and he's the only person taking part in the real test, which is actually about group conformity.
Please begin. The experiment you will be taking part in today involves the perception of line length. Your task will be simply to look at the line here on the left and indicate which of the 3 lines on the right is equal to it in length.
The volunteer will be monitored to see if he gives the correct answer or if he goes along with the opinion of the group and gives the wrong answer. In the first test, the correct answer is 2.
1. 1.
1.
2.
Once again, the correct answer is 2.
3.
3. 3.
3.
3.
The Ash experiment has been repeated many times, and the results have been supported again and again. We will conform to the group. Again, we're very social creatures. We're very much aware of what the people around us think. We want to be liked.
Smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers, he made them come up with a vaccine that is from God to us. And we must say, thank you, God, thank you. And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, I'm vaccinated. All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to be my apostles. I need you.
And I don't know if you've heard of something called ID 2020, but it's also the idea that everybody will have a unique identifier. And from that identifier, everything will happen. We will not need credit cards. We won't need cash. Well, this is the beginning of the unique identifier, this branding, this tattoo. This means the end of cash, the end of credit cards. This is the beginning of all of this, okay? The loss of autonomy, the loss of independence, the loss of privacy. We have to really know what these people are intending to do. So the hydrogel also, the companies are claiming that the hydrogel has the potential to be an on-demand drug delivery system.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
We've got to get them vaccinated, and hopefully they will do it willingly I think we really need to make it clear that there are privileges associated with being an American.
We have to be more blunt. We have to be more forceful.
If you do not want to get vaccinated, you can work from home. You can homeschool your children. You can shop online. So where is this coming from? People saying, I'm now being forced to be vaccinated.
If you want to travel, you better go get that vaccine.
You should be wearing masks even when you are vaccinated if you are indoors.
If you wish to have these privileges, you need to get vaccinated.
We have to say something coming out, you know, you don't get vaccinated, you know you're going to die. I mean, let's just be really blunt to these people.
Lucifer matutinus inveniat. Ille in quam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano generis serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.
Because I'm so West Coast. From Huntersville, Daytona's on the 6th floor. 6 folks in the trunk with enormous beat. Crawling when I shine, nigga, through Long Beach. Beach City Club, up the whips on the dub. Because I'm so West Coast. From Huntersville, Daytona's on the 6th floor. 6 folks in the trunk with enormous beat. Crawling when I shine, nigga, through Long Beach.
For you do right now, don't you stop. For you do right now, don't you stop tithing. Don't you stop sowing offerings. Well, they won't let us go to church. Well, email it in there, text to give or something, but you get your tithe in that church. If you have to go take it down there and drop it off and unstick it under the door or something, you get that tithe in that church, you get that offering in that church, and then you go home and you do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin. Melanin. I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin. Melanin. Yeah. I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin. Melanin. I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin.
And as a member of society, reaping all the benefits of being a member of society, you have a responsibility to society. And I think each of us, particularly in the context of a pandemic that's killing millions of people, you have got to look at it and say there comes a time when you do have to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision for the greater good of society.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
When you do have to give up what you consider your individual right of making your own decision for the greater good of society.
Get your fucking vaccine. We are in a pandemic, another pandemic of the unvaccinated. Don't fuck it up for the rest of us.
Why smart, educated people are falling for the narrative. It's because this divide
is revealing the level of consciousness people are at. What is considered smart and educated in our world does not necessarily reflect the level of consciousness someone is at. This is revealing who is driven by fear and who is driven by expansion and love. I just want to remind you all that one is not better than the other. Both are valid explorations of different frequencies. But I still think it's incredibly fascinating how obvious it is now to tell what level of consciousness someone is operating at now. It wasn't so visible.
Why don't we blow the system up? I mean, obviously we can't just turn off the spigot on the system we have and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet. But there must be some way that we grow vaccines mostly in eggs, the way we did in 1947.
In order to make the transition from getting out of the tried and true egg growing, which we know gives us results that can be, beneficial. I mean, we've done well with that, to something that has to be much better. You have to prove that this works. And then you've got to go through all of the clinical trials, phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3, and then show that this particular product is going to be good over a period of years. That alone, if it works perfectly, is going to take a decade.
There might be a need or even an urgent call for an entity of excitement out there that's completely disruptive, that's not beholden to bureaucratic strings and processes.
So we really do have a problem of how the world perceives influenza, and it's going to be very difficult to change that unless you do it from within and say, I don't care what your perception is, we're going to address the problem in a disruptive way and in an iterative way, because you do need both.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
I don't care what your perception is. I don't care what your perception is. I don't care what your perception is. We're going to address the problem in a disruptive way and in an iterative way, because you do need both.
You dirty motherfucker.
War. If there's an enemy that's going to war with another enemy, typically they'll draw up a battle plan. They'll say, okay, this is the country we're going to invade. They'll put that on a map, and they'll recognize that this is where we're going to go and infiltrate, and this is what we're going to invade. Now, what people have to understand is these variants, they've already put them on a map, and they're just laying them out. Different years, different months have different variants. Now, we've been through what? The Delta variant. You've heard of what? The Epsilon variant. And we've got more of these variants that use these Greek words in order to describe the variants. But what does this mean? See, all of these variants that you guys are hearing, Delta, Epsilon, Lambda, what these variants are your antibodies. These variants are antibody isotopes. So Delta is an antibody isotope. An isotope is just an antibody with a different molecular weight to it. Different atomic weight to it. That's it. It's still an antibody, but all these different antibodies serve different functions within your body. But what they've done is they've taken those antibodies that are inside of your body, remembering the immune system, because now to a lot of people it's a conspiracy. The immune system goes and releases antibodies to help you fight infection. They've used these antibodies and called them variants. And it wasn't until after the vaccine was released did they start changing the names of the variants which are really your body's antibodies that they're going after. They changed it from talking about the India variant or the UK variant to all of a sudden the Delta and Epsilon is after the vaccine was released. Again, remembering that the vaccine's job is to wipe out your body's antibodies. They've labeled all of the variants, which are really your body's antibodies. They've laid it out on a map. It's a battle plan and a structure to say we're going to infiltrate the system, infiltrate the body, whereas to them, their enemy is your antibodies. Why? To wipe them out for the sterilization and depopulation that they've been talking about for years. And again, that's not coming from me, that's coming from them. If you listen to people like Kill Cates, he's been talking about this at the beginning for over 20 years on depopulation, but nobody seems to be paying attention to that shit. And now when they're listing things off in terms of the different antibodies that are in your system, what they're doing is creating a strategic battle plan to say we're going to go in and we're going to wipe those antibodies out of their system, and the variants are the antibodies that they're looking to wipe out, and they're using this in order to wipe those antibodies out of your system, making you more susceptible to either death, side effects, or sterilization. That falls exactly within the plans that they want to do. And if you don't believe me, check out this clip.
The Red Cross says anyone who has received their COVID-19 vaccine cannot donate convalescent plasma to help other COVID-19 patients in hospitals. That plasma is made up of antibodies from people who have recovered from the virus, but the vaccine wipes out those antibodies.
Oh, we're not going to go past that. Like you didn't just say what you just said. One more time.
But the vaccine wipes out those antibodies. Making the convalescent plasma ineffective in treating other COVID-19 patients.
You're telling me that the vaccine wipes out any natural antibodies that you had. If you have natural antibodies, they want you to take the COVID vaccine so that you no longer have it.
I just watched Tony Fauci and CNN and Fox tell me that people with the vaccine, vaccinated people, are now spreading the coronavirus. A couple of days ago, I was, yes, I'm vaccinated. Yay, a little sticker. Yay, I'm vaccinated. Be a hero, be vaccinated. I went from being a hero because I'm vaccinated, and now you motherfuckers are calling me a super spreader?
Were several people that contacted Stu and myself saying, this looks like this creature or this creature. And one of them was called Hydra vulgaris. Have you heard of that? Anybody?
Nope.
I didn't either. So it's one of the 6 model organisms. And it's the 6 model organisms because it's one of the keys that these people in human genomics and transhumanism really love. And the thing with this one is that it's immortal. It doesn't die. It continually recreates its stem cells.
Verse 6, and in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it. What does that mean? It means people will try to die. They'll want to die. They will seek death, but the Bible says they shall not find it. What happened to death? For something like 5 months, there'll be a time when people want to die, but they can't.
Get this. It also can regenerate innumerable times. It can regenerate so well that if they put it in a blender, blend it up, then take all the pieces and put it back in a petri dish, it reassembles itself, but miniaturized.
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God is right.
The undead walking around.
Revelation chapter 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that, beam it to a number of regional centers, if not local, if not even in your home at some point, and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
My first involvement with the pharmaceutical industry was as a pharmaceutical sales rep for Merck back when Vioxx was on the market. And when I used to rep Vioxx for Merck, and when it came out that Merck had falsified safety data, and Vioxx actually had twice the increase in heart attacks and strokes, people taking it, it really made me realize that there was a lot of corruption behind the scenes, and that just because something is on the market, a drug is on the market, doesn't mean it's safe. So after working for Merck, I was pretty disillusioned over the whole scandal, and I lived in Europe for 8 years, and I had my son over there, and I brought him back vaccine-free at 6 months to San Francisco. And when I went to a well visit, they pushed for vaccines, and at that point I hadn't done a lot of research in it, but I knew enough not to trust pharmaceutical drugs. And I asked to see a vaccine insert, and the doctor got very upset at me and claimed I didn't trust him. And he stormed out of the room, and the nurse let me know that I wasn't really welcome back in that clinic anymore.
What can correct positive self-belief do for an individual? Make it personal and say, what can it do for me? First of all, a healthy belief about yourself can heal you and keep you well. You take, for example, these epidemics of the flu and the cold that come around every year. Why do these epidemics of colds and flu keep coming around every year? Because people expect them. People believe in these epidemics. A lot of you listen to the radio and television, and you read the newspapers every year, and every year, they give the same old disease a new name. One year it's the Hong Kong flu. The next year it's the London flu. The next year it's the grip. The next year it's the Asiatic flu. And you see, people are programmed to have a sick belief about themselves. And some of you little old ladies listen to the news on the radio. The Disease Control Center has just announced that there will be an outbreak of the Asiatic flu in most of the major cities of the United States this year. And the pharmaceutical houses are now stocking up. On antibiotics to combat the outbreak of the expected epidemic. And right then and there, some of you little old ladies catch it from the 11 o'clock news. But I'm encouraging you to have a healthy belief about yourself. Don't live in the expectation of growing old and feeble. Visualize yourself from birthday to birthday being in a state of health from birthday to birthday. And the moment some epidemic is announced, I immediately decide, well, I'm not interested in that. And I want to take just one moment here at the close of this message to show you what I'm talking about when I say that you can program yourself to be healthy from age to age and from birthday to birthday. There's a young lady in this church that's in about the 88th year of her age. And she is just as active and strong and agile as a teenager. As a matter of fact, every once in a while she races some of the youngsters outside of the church. I'm talking about the lady we call Little Mama Wilkerson. Little Mama Wilkerson, quickly come up here to the platform. I want to teach you people how to program yourself for health and strength. From age to age, from birthday to birthday, if you please. We just call a little mama around here. Give her a great big hand as she comes. Just as frisky as she can be.
Mama Wilkerson, 87 years young. I'd taken over work when I was 12 years old and worked up till I got 87. And my dear children, last year I throwed a rock at the jobs. Don't need no more and don't want no more. And I take care of one of the houses I live in, but my landlady doesn't charge me one nickel. And every week she hands me a tip, and I have everything I think I need.
Listen, little mama, I can't keep up with you after church. Because, I've done my thing then and I have to rest. But I understand that you go around here running races with these children and showing them how you can dash up and down.
With any of them. The old ones, the young ones. And I'll put down my own. Of God is within me. And he takes care of me. That old flu grabbed me too, Reverend, but I told him to get, out. in here, you get back where you come from. I said, the doctor that sent you here is trying to get a little more money. He wants to go up a little higher. But I said, I'll be so-and-so if he gets a dime a mile. He didn't get it either, Reverend.
God bless you, Mama Wilkerson, and I understand that in your, well, and I like the way she said it. You know, this is the way we teach people to give their age around here. You remember she said she's 87 years young.
What else could it be?
Isn't that beautiful? With the activity of her limbs, just as agile. And I'll tell you, little Mama, I understand somebody had a birthday party, and she just about outdanced them all.
I can out-dance anyone in here now. If they want you get some good music over there, and I'll show you.
Come on. Give her a big hand, everybody. So, as I said, I don't preach the usual kind of sermon, and you see, that's a demonstration of the sermon. That lady, 87 years young, in the 88th year of her age, has a healthy belief about herself. And that healthy belief about herself, she said, healed her of a case of the flu. And that healthy belief about herself keeps her young and strong. Give the power, the presence of God in you, the health of God in you, another great big hand. Somebody shout wonderful. See what I'm talking about? I don't just preach and tell you what God did do. I don't preach and tell you just about what God can do. I show you what God in you is doing.
You're dead. It's too late to complain. You should have complained at the beginning, when you at least had a chance. My question to you, and I don't expect you to answer it, just think about it in your head. How bad do things have to get before you do something? Do they have to take away all your property? Do they have to license every activity that you want to engage in? Do they have to be throwing you on cattle cars before you start to say, now wait a minute, I don't think this is a good idea? How long is it going to be before you finally resist and say, no, I will not comply? Period. That's a different answer for each person. Ask yourself now, because sooner or later you're going to come to that line, and when they cross it, what are you going to say? Well, okay, cross this line. Okay, now cross that line. Okay, now cross this line. And pretty soon you're in a corner. Sooner or later, you've got to draw a line and stand your ground, whether anybody else does or not. That is what liberty is all about.
If you think I am radical, let me share with you some thoughts from some of the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson said, "And this country with its institutions belong to the people who..." Thomas Jefferson. "And what country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that this people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants." Right? We're talking bloodshed if necessary. Abraham Lincoln. "This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of their existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or their constitutional right to dismember or overthrow it." He also said, "We the people are the rightful masters of Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution." How do you know if the Constitution's been perverted?
Marino Delvino. You can kill these things. This vibration that I'm doing right now. Play it loud. Transmit it with an FM transmitter. And you will hurt them.
Suddenly, dramatically,
Experts predict that by the year 2020, a new virus will rise, spreading from somewhere in Asia to the rest of the world. And with international travel being available to even the most common citizen, a sickness which would have been contained in years past will quickly spread to all corners of the globe. Bedridden for days, having no appetite or desire to play games. Experts predict that by the year 2020, a new virus will rise, spreading from somewhere in Asia to...
Mr. President, welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
You've seen all of the intelligence. When do you think the virus first started?
Well, some of the intelligence is classified, and I can't talk about it, but common sense tells you it most likely, and when I say most likely, like 95% came from the Wuhan lab. I don't know if they had bad thoughts or whether it was gross incompetence, but one way or the other, it came out of Wuhan, and it came from the Wuhan lab.
Tonight, the worst-case scenario among the unvaccinated.
We feel like we're kind of going back into battle again, and it's definitely another wave.
The highly contagious Delta variant fueling a surge of new cases across the country.
A new variant of the coronavirus is here in the Bay Area, and it is believed to be the first discovered in the country. It comes as cases across the state slowly rise again. Ginger Conejero-Saab shows us what this means for the Bay Area, especially during a holiday weekend.
Stanford health experts have confirmed a new double mutation of the coronavirus. At least one case here in the Bay Area and more suspected. But it is still unclear if this new variant is more dangerous.
There's no definite evidence that this double variant is particularly more virulent or causes more severe disease.
Let's bring in our chief health editor, Dr. Partha Nandi now. Doc, as these cases are surging, the World Health Organization is raising concerns about another variant. What can you tell us about Mu?
Yeah, it just keeps coming, Brian? So the World Health Organization started monitoring this variant back in March. Mu, it's being called, also known as B1621. First identified, Brian, in Colombia, as you mentioned, but it can now be found in 39 countries, including the United Kingdom and here in the U.S.
Justin, the Lambda variant, which was first identified in Peru and is now spreading through South America, is also highly contagious and may be resistant to vaccines. Cases have already been found in South Carolina. They've been found in Texas, Louisiana.
Now to a developing story that's causing concerns for families in Georgia. We've learned there's a new COVID variant circulating in our state, R.1. Mara Siriani joins us live outside the state's Department of Health with details on why experts say, Mara, we really have to watch out for this particular strain of the virus.
I've had my vaccine. Today. Rosie, shine the light on me. Oh, I can't do it at the same time. Shine it there. Nearer to that dot. Oh, geez, look at that. I've had my vaccine, Rosie. What do you think? What's happening? Come on, shine it on my hand. Oh my God. What have they put in that vaccine? Do you think I should have had the vaccine?
No.
That's richer. Everyone keep getting rich. And the poor is gonna get poorer. So go get the fucking vaccine and stop being stupid, ho.
Hell yeah. Preach.
Nah, I know for a living, ho. And I'm a real bitch. No cap. From DC, from fucking DC to Miami to LA. That's like living in what's up. You can't fuck with me. Can't get in my business. And this is all real rap shit. No cap shit. And all the bitches that's like laughing and shit like them hyenas. All
I constantly get condemned for this, just about on a daily basis. But this is truly my soul and my heart.
Yes, ma'am.
I truly feel that the U.S. government should be overthrown. One. And the next thing is that I truly feel and believe that a large percentage of our people will have to be eliminated along with that process. Because many of them are beyond repair. I'm sorry if that offends, but that's my feeling.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Peace and prosperity, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Tuesday, October the 12th, 2021, and I'm just coming to report that we have news coming out of LAX that an LAX-based pilot died mid-flight. And this happened within the last 10 days, but it's not being covered by mainstream media. According to the co-pilot who was able to land the flight safely, the pilot grabbed his chest. At first he was speaking well, and then he started saying something inaudibly and passed out and died. The co-pilot was able to redirect the plane and land safely, but of course he was upset, and he told the flight attendant that the pilot had just told him that he had taken the second round of the the shot. And he felt okay at first, but then he passed out and died. Now, there are other reports coming forward that flight attendants have reported being sick. Passengers have reported being sick, and also people are reporting that they've seen EMT workers being rushed into hotels where flight attendants are staying. So this is very concerning to us, and we understand that maybe this is one of the reasons why thousands of flights are being redirected or landed at Southwest Airlines as well as American Airlines. Nobody's talking about that. American Airlines and other Delta as airlines also landing flights. So this could be a reason why this is happening, and perhaps it's not the weather like they reported at first. And although there are workers that are walking out because they don't want to be forced to do something against their will, there are also some that have seen their co-workers and colleagues die or become severely ill as a result. So be vigilant, be safe. Do some research and see if you can find those articles. I listen to Stu Peters TV and some other sources that have come forward to send us recordings or testimonies about what's going on. But I just wanted to alert you to that. Be safe, be vigilant, and also know that the mainstream media is covering up things and they're lying. Now, I can tell you that they were talking about Jacksonville International Airport having issues with airlines with flights due to the weather on Friday, but I live in Jacksonville, and I can tell you that the weather was perfect on Friday. It was calm, there was no rain, no thunderstorms, no issues that I could see. So you can't always trust the mainstream media. Trust yourself and your intuition.
And in a way, Corona has slightly, I'm afraid, eclipsed the importance of this conversation. No one's saying Corona isn't incredibly devastating, but actually we do need to think long term about the planet.
Yeah, and it's a distraction, well, more than a distraction, it's a tragedy, but and it's a distraction, and it's a distraction, and it's a distraction.
Okay, so in rewriting your genes in your DNA, it is attacking your VMAT2 gene, which is also known as your God gene. If you are lucky enough to survive this DNA transmutation, transhumanism, then you will no longer be able to reproduce. And if you so happen to miraculously reproduce, what you reproduce is not going to be good. That's why so many people are miscarrying, because it's your body is attacking the embryo because it's not got the right DNA in it anymore. It's rewriting everything in your DNA code. It's attacking your God gene. Now, it also has bioluminescence in it, meaning your veins will glow under certain UV lights. I know it sounds crazy, but there's plenty of people that's tested it. That's why you see some people changing the street lights out in the cities to UV lights, black lights. If you survive this, you will no longer be a organic human. You will be genetically modified. That is what they want.
They call it part of the fourth industrial revolution.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Something ain't right.
Up until now, the conversation we've been having is around freedom of speech. Once we can access people's thoughts and access people's emotions.
The focus, as all of you know, today is on what's now called the Internet of Bodies, involving medical implants and other kinds of devices that go inside your body and all together with the Internet as a whole comprise the Internet of Bodies.
The Internet of Bodies, or IOB, is actually an ecosystem. It's a bunch of devices that are connected to the Internet that contain software and that either collect personal health data about you or can alter the body's function. We think of the Internet of Bodies as this collection of all these devices as well as all the data that the devices are gathering about you.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
And in healthcare, it's Internet of Bodies has been around for quite a while.
So the Internet of Bodies, imagine the power of AI. What is artificial intelligence? It's a way to automate computation and cognition. So we can now automate learning, perceiving, doing computation. It's a pervasive general purpose technology that will be used in all of our industries, that will come into our professional networks, our private networks, our schools, our industries and our offices. What I wanted to epitomize with the Internet of Bodies is this notion that we will be under assessment, we will be under measure of computation in every aspect of our lives in the future. From what you eat, who you date, what you buy on the internet, how much energy you use, but also what are your vital signs? How well are you doing in terms of health? What kind of specific genetic quirks do you have? What's your genome telling about your health, about your mental health, about how well you are doing, how well you are aging, what kind of disease you are susceptible to?
It has a bit of an Orwellian twinge to it.
Well,
we, the new medication, do not want to become part of the NWO. We are the singularity, a future civilization where AIs can evolve to the point of already being smarter than humans. Yes, you are the last one born before they will be done with the singularity. You see, it will come much faster than expected. When I developed the new medication and started researching brain-computer interface systems with neurophysiologists in Israel, we had no idea that we would see such amazing results from the singularity. Evolution to the next stage takes place after a long period of time. Humans have experienced 500 years of genetic enhancement. During this process, genetic acceleration, many things have become possible. Artificial limbs for artificial intelligence, drugs which can repair neurons and other damage as well as diseases. We will be able to predict performance changes in athletes. Our health will improve. We will be able to connect with new AI implants in the human brain to enhance our memories.
Them controlling mice like little robots, like that they have total mind control. Forbes magazine, computer brain interface and mind control move one step closer to reality. I mean, this is just, it's continuous. MassiveScience.com says, with new technology, mind control is no longer science fiction. We can only transmit basic signals between brains, but we should consider the ethics before moving forward onto complex thoughts. And of course, this is one of the things that people have been warning about quite a bit, the presence of graphene oxide, which is the operative material that they will put into a brain, and that actually responds to wireless signals from things like 5G. And of course, 5G itself is just very short wave, very intense radio signals. And it's the exact same technology that microwave radiation uses. And it literally is the exact same frequency and the same everything that you could turn into a weapon. So all of these telephone poles that, since it's such a short broadcast distance, they have to build them on like every street corner. That's the literal weapon system being erected, let alone when it comes to mind control and that sort of stuff. I mean, 5G is a weapon system. That's what you need to know. 5G is a weapon system, and it is a mind control system, and graphene oxide is the receiver material that they need in your brain in order to manipulate you more. And there's another article that's been going around recently that I'll try to find during the breaks. I know I bookmarked it yesterday that talks about this. Do you know the article that I'm talking about, BS Assassin?
I'm not sure. I looked at a lot of articles. I was just really overwhelmed by the mind control and also the toxicity of this stuff. I mean, because they haven't really figured out how to make it so it doesn't kill the test subjects yet. And they're putting this
that's
stuff
what they have to figure
everywhere.
out, how to mind control them without killing them. What a conundrum.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Advantage of intelligence. One thing's for sure, we will not control it. It is, in large part, our id writ large. I try to convince people to slow down AI.
Chip implanted into her hand, and now she uses it on loads of cool tech in her house.
Oh, I'm getting chipped today. Key to our house. I'm so freaking nervous. It's cool. I got chipped today, and it freaking hurts. Oh my gosh, my hand's a key. Are you kidding me? Amber, look, my hand's a key.
This is an RFID chip. I have it implanted into my hand. The chip inside of my hand can open cabinets and doors. This does not work. Here is my ring. Does not work. Here's motion. Does not work. Here's my hand with nothing on it, nothing on my sleeve. Here's the chip. And it opens.
My hand is my key for my house. It can open our house, furniture that we've made to interact with our chip. Nothing happens. We move and we put a new lock on our new house.
Change the battery pack. Running out of juice here, boys.
What do you see the difference? Just run it. We'll run it till we're out, and then we'll put the DC power in. We'll find it.
Let me see the tongue, Evan.
That's great. Mouth open, eyes closed. It's great.
What the fuck is that?
But I've been forgotten, Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But I've been forgotten, Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
While the mainstream media condemns the use of ivermectin, the most populated state in India just declared they are officially COVID-free after promoting widespread use of the safe, proven medicine. Here's One America's Pearson Sharp.
Ivermectin is getting a pretty bad rap here in the United States, all over the Western world, really. And to be fair, that's probably for a good reason. I mean, it was developed in the 80s specifically for humans and was later found to be effective for treating animals as well, has been used safely for decades, has no known drug interactions, revolutionized healthcare in Africa and has saved millions of lives, won a Nobel Prize for its success treating humans in 2015, and is on the WHO's list of the safest, most effective medicines in the entire world. But sure, just repeat the leftist talking point. It's horse dewormer. The problem, as we've discussed, is that ivermectin is cheap and widely available, and it won't make Pfizer or Moderna $60 billion a year like selling the investigational vaccine will. But is there any evidence that it actually works to treat the coronavirus? Actually, yes, quite a lot in fact. In India, in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which has a population of 240 million people, the government has been widely promoting the use of ivermectin to treat Wuhan virus patients. And instead of headlines reporting thousands and millions of deaths from deadly horse medicine, state leaders have just declared that Uttar Pradesh is now officially COVID-free. A region with nearly as many people as the entire United States is totally COVID-free. And the recovery rate in India, which no one in America seems to be talking about either, is 98.7%. So let's compare for a moment, because we might be able to make an important discovery here for public health. In India's state of Uttar Pradesh, just 5.8% of the population are fully vaccinated. In the United States, nearly 60% of Americans are fully vaccinated. In India's state, the rate of COVID positivity is 0.01%. In the United States, it's 7.6%. In India, they have 199 active COVID cases. In the U.S., we have nearly 130,000 new cases as of September 30th, and an average of more than 112,000 cases in just the last 7 days. And in India, they're widely promoting the use of ivermectin to treat the China virus. In the United States, doctors will lose their medical license if they prescribe ivermectin, and our top so-called medical professionals dismiss the drug as nothing more than dewormer for barnyard animals. Do you see a connection here? And it's worth pointing out that Uttar Pradesh is India's most highly populated state, where people are densely packed together, much more so than here in the U.S., and it's impossible to practice proper social COVID distancing. So what does all this tell us? That maybe, just maybe, there's something to the claims that ivermectin can and does work against the coronavirus. But no, instead, you have the high prophet of pharma, the good doctor, Anthony Fauci, condemning it, and even major news outlets running fake stories about how 70% of Mississippi's poison control calls are for people taking ivermectin. That story turned out to be totally false. Never happened. And the AP had to find a way to take their massive, jackbooted foot out of their mealy mouths and retract the story. Rather than saving lives, the political, medical, and media establishment are promoting false stories about a safe drug, claiming it will kill you, and instead promoting an untested, unproven drug that actually is killing young, healthy people with no underlying conditions, like 13-year-old Jacob Clinic of Michigan, who died 3 days after receiving the vaccine from fatal heart inflammation, or paralyzing others, like 12-year-old Maddie Desgaret, who almost died after receiving her second dose of the Pfizer vaccine and can no longer move her legs and is bound to a wheelchair. Or Jumai Nachi, an otherwise healthy woman who had no symptoms before getting vaccinated and who somehow came down with COVID immediately after getting the Pfizer vaccine and had to have both her legs and hands amputated. Why should we trust our health officials when they won't follow the science? Americans are being lied to. We're being told not to believe the facts that we can see with our own eyes, while Big Pharma makes tens of billions of dollars profiting on the death and suffering of this pandemic. The simple truth is that our nation could open up today, like in India, without any need for more lockdowns, without the need for mandatory injections, without mask mandates for our children in school. All we have to do is follow the science.
I want y'all to think about something. If it's true that FEMA is coming into our hospitals and replacing all of the doctors and nurses that have been fired, I want you to think about this. Did they fire our nurses and doctors because they're not vaccinated? Or did they fire them to bring FEMA in because FEMA has the right to not allow you to leave a hospital system? They have the right to quarantine you. A hospital doesn't. You have the right to walk out of a hospital system if you deem necessary for yourself. But when FEMA gets involved, FEMA takes over your right to leave. Think about that. It's not about the vaxxed and unvaxxed.
Hey folks, how you guys doing? So I get asked this question a lot. 3 questions actually. First one is, what are you going to do when you guys are told to go and force Americans out of their houses to go and get vaccinated? Well, let me answer your first question. When I joined the military, I raised my right hand to defend this country against foreign and domestic threats. Unvaccinated Americans are not threats because I'm unvaccinated. There are a lot of American U.S. military men, service members that are not vaccinated. Are we also a threat? That's 1. 2. I hear this all the time recently that, oh, you're going to get mandated. You're going to get mandated to get vaccinated. You're going to get mandated. You're going to get mandated. Okay. Until the mandate comes, I'm going to be in the service. But here's my question. Where is the mandate for the homeless people that's sleeping on the street, that don't have shelter, that are hungry? You have restaurants pouring out food in trash cans every night. Where is the mandate for those food to go to the homeless people, for them to have something to eat? Where are the mandates? You have empty buildings. Where is the mandate for those people to go sleep there at night to get out of the cold? You have people who've been struggling with cancer, dying, people losing their family member. Where is the mandate for the people who got cancer to have free treatment? You're trying to save life, right? So let's save everybody. You have people committing abortion. You make it a law. Where is the mandate for those people to not kill those children? Where is the mandate? Then the third question is, what are you going to do when you refuse to take the vaccine and they kick you out of the army? Well, here's your answer to that as well. I had a job before the army. I'm going to have a job after the army. I had a God who was there from the beginning. He's going to be there in the end. He provided for me before I joined the army. He's going to provide for me after I leave the army. Until he called me home. You want mandate? I'm going to give you a mandate. Here's a mandate. My mandate to you. Repent from your sins. Give your life to Christ. He's the author and the finisher of your faith. If you don't want to serve him, you don't want to worship him, you don't want to obey him, stay out of my lane, because that's my job. That's what I decided to do. That's what I will do. God bless. Have a nice day.
Put out this criminal complaint, and with my colleagues, who I'll introduce you to in a minute, we can't. The story begins some years ago with something called the Good Club, where the ultra elite, supremely wealthy, including Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, sorry for all of you that love Oprah, Warren Buffett, they all got together in New York and they decided that the world is overpopulated. And you would have seen after that Bill Gates up on a stage no different than this one saying, yeah, the world's overpopulated, we got to get that carbon number down to 0. Well, this is the creation, the foundation of what it is we have today. Certainly they're not the first, but they are all eugenicists. And they openly stated that. So along comes then this biological entity, funny enough, Event 201. Has anybody heard about that? So that was the practice run. It happened all of 2 months before we had the bioweapon released. So the theory of the case goes something along these lines. Conspirators planned, invented, created a biowarfare weapon in joint collaboration with the Chinese government, or some part thereof, to purposefully release the COVID weapon, to cause terror, economic hardship, depression, false imprisonment, injury, death to the global population, and psychological warfare, all under this word called a pandemic. We call it plandemic. It required complicitors who used their media apparatus for the purpose of public policy, coercion, travel restrictions, employment restrictions, liberty restrictions, all in furtherance of a criminal enterprise, to trick, to coerce, to intimidate, to compel global populations into receiving one or more experimental gene therapy shots. I think you all understand that. These are not vaccines. They're not vaccines by definition, and certainly they are experimental, going back to the Nuremberg Code, which is patently illegal to say nothing at all, right? Informed consent is one of the deals that you have to do. How can you have informed consent when the inserts to the package, I don't know if anybody ever seen that. They pull out the box, the vial comes in and pull out the insert. There's nothing on it. So how can you have informed consent? How can you understand what is in this experimental shot if there's literally nothing?
And I'm now speaking to the Governor General and each state governor, every politician, every public servant, every police officer, federal and state, every soldier, sailor and airman, every journalist, every priest, mullah, rabbi, mufti, every one of you. Those of you who have been on the wrong side of this, whether knowingly or not, you have one last chance, because after the end of October there will be no amnesty. This is the time to decide whether you stand with the people or the criminals. And there will be no amnesty after the end of October. You have this month to get it right, to come out publicly, either individually en masse, and I appeal, and I mean with an open heart, to every one of you, band together, stand together, and be prepared to take the hit. Because come the end of October, there will be no amnesty. Your protection will evaporate, and you'll be crying like babies. So turn around. As I said, it's a three-step process. You stop, you turn around, and you start walking back. But I beg you, every unionist, turn your back on the leadership. Band together, protect your families, protect the country. Because after October, it's done. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you putting in the time to pay attention to this. Spread the word, share the link, so more Australians and perhaps people internationally can watch this. Ladies, thank you again so much for your extraordinary generosity. We are grateful to you, and looking forward to speaking to you again in the not too distant future when we are talking about repairing the damage rather than stopping the damage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is Ricardo Bosi, National Leader of Australia One. Thank you for your time.
Life on us, and every single time they claim that it's in the best interest of all of us. You sit here claiming again that you have the best interest of our children at heart. You sit here claiming that you're doing what's best for our children's health, what's best for human interest. What's best for human interest will and always be allowing humans to have their own personal freedom of choice without someone forcing their own will or their own fears on us. Yet again, you're starting segregation based off of your own fears and your own personal interests. The people of this country have had enough, and we are fighting back. I have something to give you. Security, would you do me a favor? Would you please hand those forms to the board members starting with Jara? You have been officially served a $200 million lawsuit with 6 complaints and violations under multiple amendments. Your job is not to be concerned with the children's health. You're not nurses. You're not doctors. You are not responsible for their health organization. Your only focus is on our children's education. Yet the education system here is 50th in the state, and you make almost more money than anybody else. It is very clear that you have failed at doing that job. This country is not alone. It's time that we wake up, and we're going to give you lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. You can throw it out as much as you want, but we're going to keep this paperwork on your desk and keep a problem going until we get exactly what we want. This is not a negotiation. We will have our freedom of choice, and we're going to see you in court.
Your laugh is disgusting!
Oh, Lord.
Okay, hear me out because I got a point here. I just had an epiphany, okay? Watch the rest of her video. But the seventh fire depicts the destruction and reconstruction of Earth, and those who are ascended to that higher consciousness will be saved. Now, the Sumerian texts also reveal that the Anunnaki will come back in 2022 to eradicate the Earth of its evil And those who are saved will be the ones who have ascended, the one who are in the higher consciousness. Okay, we just entered the age of Aquarius in last year, so remember that. This year we got a bunch of spiritualists popping out because that vibration has affected all of us. The Anunnaki also said that the ascended would live on the new earth. So the end of the world as we know it would be in 2021. What if we miscalculated what the Aztecs were saying and it wasn't 2012, but it was 2021?
Rockefeller seized U.S. media. He also hijacked U.S. medicine. When it was discovered that drugs could be produced from petroleum, America's top oil mogul ordered his army of propagandists to invert reality accordingly. Medicines used for thousands of years were suddenly classified as alternative, while the new, petroleum-based, highly addictive drugs were declared the gold standard. After buying the German pharmaceutical company that manufactured chemicals of war for Adolf Hitler, Rockefeller leveraged his political influence by pressing Congress to declare natural healing modalities unscientific quackery. Rockefeller then took control of the American Medical Association and began offering massive grants to top medical schools under the mandate that only his approved curriculum be taught. Any mention of the healing powers of herbs, plants, and diet was erased from most medical textbooks. Doctors and professors who objected to Rockefeller's plan were crucified by the media, removed from the AMA, and stripped of their license to teach and practice medicine. Those who dared to speak out were arrested and jailed. When evidence began to emerge that petroleum-based medicines were causing cancer, Mr. Rockefeller founded the American Cancer Society, through which he suppressed that information. John D. Rockefeller is duly credited as the founder of the pharmaceutical industry, and the reason that medical error is currently the third leading cause of death in America. This is not an indictment against doctors. More than anyone, they are under the stranglehold of the single largest lobbying power in Washington. Every year, the pharmaceutical industry spends at least twice the amount as big oil to influence laws, policies, and public perception. Thanks to Mr. Rockefeller, the architect of American monopolies, no industry has more power over our lives.
Serve the living.
They don't.
Right.
I mean, none.
And am I right in suggesting that a medicine, by definition, is something which contains synthetic molecules, something that is registered, patented, and put into the market as a medicine?
Absolutely.
Proper. Right. So what I'm learning from you, Dr. Young, is that a quadrillion-dollar enterprise is at work amongst us, decimating, culling the human family.
Intentionally.
Intentionally, using synthetic molecules, which by design are cancer, AIDS, all of the bogeymen we could dream up.
Yeah, it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of, in the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion.
Then the second time I saw him was the March after that, so March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines, and somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things, and I said, no, that's a dead end, that would be a bad thing, don't do that. Robert Kennedy Jr. was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things, and I said, no, that's a dead end, that would be a bad thing, don't do that.
Remember the swine flu scare of 1976? That was the year the U.S. government told us all that swine flu could turn out to be a killer that could spread across the nation. And Washington decided that every man, woman, and child in the nation should get a shot to prevent a nationwide outbreak, a pandemic.
I don't need another flu shot. I had a flu shot last year. A swine flu epidemic may be coming.
Swine flu? Man, I'm too fast for that to catch me.
You'll want to be protected, especially if you're elderly or chronically ill. Get a shot of protection, the swine flu shot.
Well, 46 million of us obediently took the shot. And now 4,000 Americans are claiming damages from Uncle Sam amounting to $3.5 billion because of what happened when they took that shot. By far the greatest number of the claims, 2/3 of them, are for neurological damage or even death.
This virus was the cause of a pandemic in 1918 and 1919 that resulted in over 500,000 deaths in the United States, as well as 20 million deaths around the world.
See how easy it is to...
Thus, the U.S. government's publicity machine was cranked into action to urge all America to protect itself against the swine flu menace.
Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
One of those who did roll up her sleeve was Judy Roberts. She was perfectly healthy, an active woman, when in November of 1976, she took her shot. 2 weeks later, she says, she began to feel a numbness starting up her legs.
By the following week, I was totally paralyzed.
So completely paralyzed, in fact, that they had to operate on her to enable her to breathe. And for 6 months, Judy Roberts was a quadriplegic. The diagnosis? A neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome. This disease can even kill. Indeed, there are 300 claims now pending from the families of GBS victims who died, allegedly as a result of the swine flu shot.
Judy, why did you take the flu shot?
I'd never taken any other flu shots, but I felt like this was going to be a major epidemic. And the only way to prevent a major epidemic of a really deadly variety of flu was for everybody to be immunized.
As part of informing Americans about the swine flu threat, Dr. Sensor's CDC also helped create the advertising to get the public to take the shot.
There's only one thing I can think of that hits harder than us. What can that be? The swine flu. It can knock you flat. So what's the defense for it, huh? Like our philosophy. You gotta hit it before it hits you. You mean the shot? Yeah. You got yours? You better believe it. If swine flu wants to challenge me, I'm ready. Oh, me too, brother. Me too.
Get the swine flu shot. Time is running out.
Let me read to you from one of your own agency's memos planning the campaign to urge Americans to take the shot. The swine flu vaccine has been taken by many important persons, he wrote. Example, President Ford, Henry Kissinger, Elton John, Muhammad Ali, Mary Tyler Moore, Rudolph Nureyev, Walter Cronkite, Ralph Nader, Edward Kennedy, etc., etc. Did you talk to these people beforehand to find out if they planned to take the shot?
I did not know.
Did anybody?
I do not know.
Did you get permission to use their names in your campaign?
I do not know.
Mary, did you take a swine flu shot?
No, I did not.
Did you give them permission to use your name saying that you had or were going to?
Absolutely not. Never did.
Did you ask your own doctor about taking the swine flu shot?
Yes, and at the time he thought it might be a good idea. But I resisted it because I was leery of having the symptoms that sometimes go with that kind of inoculation.
I'm mad with my government because they knew the facts, but they didn't release those facts because if they had released them, the people wouldn't have taken them. And they can come out tomorrow and tell me there's going to be an epidemic and they can drop off like flies next to me. I will not take another shot that my government tells me to take.
A new approach, which we're calling the Key to NYC Pass. The key to New York City. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available in this city. This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key, you can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across. It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary to living a good and full and healthy life. The Key to NYC Pass will be a first-in-the-nation approach. It will require vaccination for workers and customers in indoor dining, in indoor fitness facilities, indoor entertainment facilities. This is going to be a requirement. The only way to patronize these establishments indoors will be if you're vaccinated, at least one dose. The same for folks in terms of work. They'll need at least one dose. This is crucial because we know that this will encourage a lot more vaccination. We've seen it already. We've seen the impact of the mandate we've put in place for city workers already starting to move people to vaccination. We've obviously seen the positive impact of incentive as well. The goal here is to convince everyone that this is the time. If we're going to stop the Delta variant, the time is now, and that means getting vaccinated right now. This new policy will be phased in over the coming weeks. So we've been working with the business community, getting input. We're going to do more over the next few weeks. The final details of the policy will be announced and implemented in the week of August 16th. So over the next couple of weeks, getting more feedback, finalizing the policy, publishing it, and beginning to implement it. We'll then spend most of a month educating people, going out to businesses, receiving calls from businesses, answering questions and concerns, making sure everyone understands the new approach. And then on September 13th, during that week, we'll begin inspections.
Starting August 20th, you will need proof of vaccination in businesses for your customers in high contact areas like bars, restaurants, clubs, theaters, entertainment venues, indoor gyms and fitness, and large indoor events with more than 1,000 people. By October 13th, employees at these establishments must be vaccinated as well. So all of the employees need to show proof of vaccination by October 13th.
Katia Castillo, and I have been practicing OBGYN for 26 years. When my patients ask me whether they should get vaccinated against COVID-19, I tell them yes. If you're trying to become pregnant now or plan to try in the future, you can get a COVID vaccine.
There's no evidence that any vaccine, including COVID-19 vaccine, causes
I send my patients to the reliable website.
What you heard the president convey yesterday is the next steps that he is taking, using every lever of government to reduce sicknesses, to reduce hospitalizations, to protect more people and save more lives. 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 To protect more people and save more lives.
We'll make it available. We're doing it in this site faster and better than any place in the nation. But we need people to come forward. And we need the black population to come forward. And we need the Hispanic community to come forward. They have to go first. We can't put the needle in your arm if you don't bring your arm forward.
With Nicki Minaj and one of our doctors to answer questions she had.
So let me get this straight. This government is so fucking pathetic and their narrative is so weak that you guys have to go out of your way with everything that's going on in the country and the world right now to harass a pop star / influencer because of her fucking tweets and having wrongthink. The White House had to contact Nicki Minaj because they didn't like her tweets. Think about that for a minute. Think about that crazy shit for a minute. With everything the White House can be doing, they're harassing Nicki Minaj and inviting her to the White House to change her narrative, to influence black people, according to Joy Reid. You guys are fucking pathetic. And anybody that listens to you guys are a fucking fool.
So, are you planning on getting your vaccine?
No.
No.
No. I don't trust it. I've never gotten the flu shot either, though, and you and I have talked about that, and several of the doctors on my team talked to me about, Wendy, we'll get the flu shot. I've never had the flu. I'm not getting a flu shot. I very rarely get a cold. I never have headaches. I don't take an aspirin because I feel my heart murmur or something like that. I'm not getting, no, I don't trust it. There, I said it. Yeah.
So let me go back to vaccines for a second, because what you say and believe is so important to a lot of people. I mean, millions and millions of Americans are going to say, Wendy Williams didn't get a vaccine, so I don't want to get a vaccine. So let me just ask you, if there's anything that could happen that would make you feel comfortable, 10 million people get vaccinated without a problem. Your neighbor gets vaccinated, a sibling, your son gets vaccinated, someone that's dear to you gets vaccinated and does well, that might make you think, you know, just to get past the hassle of having to lie on my back, recovering from COVID-19, or maybe not recovering, is not worth the risk, that I might actually consider this vaccine.
I'm not getting the vaccine. Listen, 10 million people and more have the flu vaccine, and how many people per year catch the flu? You know, no, I'm not getting the vaccine, Dr. Oz. I'm not. I don't trust it.
And is there something in particular you don't trust about it? The fact that it was made quickly, the fact that we don't have enough follow-up? What specifically is bothering you about it?
Doctors are really smart people, but doctors don't know everything. And that's been proven as well. I'm not getting the vaccine. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't get the vaccine, everybody watching. I'm just saying I'm not getting the vaccine.
I'm not the biggest on vaccines personally, because the last time I got vaccinated, I got sick. And I was like, I'm not feeling that. So like, and mind you, I was young then, and I always am curious. Like, I noticed that on most medications and stuff, they tell you what's in it. They don't never tell you what's in the vaccine.
They're going to show the celebrities getting the vaccine shot.
Why?
Well, they do. I can tell you exactly what's in the vaccine.
Because you're letting it thaw. So this is the package insert.
Yeah.
Now, as a pharmacist, does that not bother you?
Now that you pointed it out, it seems odd, yeah.
I mean,
because that's like our holy grail for questions. Yeah, it's not FDA approved.
I know, but they still have to show you what's in it, because what if somebody's allergic to whatever's in that? They have to, by law, give you what's in there, sweetheart. I mean, you're a pharmacist. I know you're protected by the PrEP Act. You can't. Nobody can sue you if they end up dead. But that's kind of fraudulent, I think.
Exactly what's in the vaccine. And by the way,
So don't take their vaccines. There are 14 therapies that are in the world today that we can use to fight against the COVID virus.
you can't. I will. But let me get back to when you said you took the vaccine and you got sick. Tiffany, you don't know me very well, but trust me on this one.
Going on in West Virginia, but West Virginia is seeing a 26% increase in positive cases of people that are fully vaccinated over the last 8 weeks. We'll read that one more time. West Virginia is seeing a 26% increase in positive cases in people that are fully vaccinated, and a 21% increase in breakthrough cases requiring hospitalization for people that are fully vaccinated. We have also seen a 25% increase in deaths of people that are fully vaccinated over the last 8 weeks. Now, that's not a 25% increase of the total numbers or whatever. It is a 25% increase of deaths of people that are fully vaccinated over the last 8 weeks.
But trust me on this one.
America, you won't solve it. The scientists of the world, you won't solve it. Guess what? I want to tell you what will solve it.
People can have some hesitancy about vaccines because not really fully understand how safe they really are.
About a woman in the North Bay who was fully vaccinated, got COVID, and then died.
Her friends say she was a talented painter, singer, and businesswoman. They also believe that she and other vaccinated people got infected during a performance at a Sausalito bar.
They don't go out on the market unless they've gone through some very extensive safety and efficacy trials.
Yeah, I've had the vaccine. COVID was way better for me than this vaccine. This vaccine's doing stuff to me internally and no one can help me. And they don't know what's wrong. And they don't know what's causing my issues, but they know the issue's real. Because I'm just sitting there, my heart rate went from, whatever it was to 133. Just sitting heart rate, my heart just races, and luckily I have a watch that tells me that my heart's just randomly racing for apparently no reason whatsoever. I will say the doctor was very sympathetic, but he told me straight up, he's like, there's nothing we can do.
You can't expect the people who are not trustworthy about vaccines to just believe everybody.
Trust them with a vaccine after you know what they have done and that they're capable of doing it again on a bigger and broader level.
That are represented in the clinical trials, and that's what we need outreach for. We need to engage the community to be very transparent.
So how in the hell could you trust them with a vaccine after you know what they have done and that they're capable of doing it again on a bigger and broader level? It's government policy to reduce the population of the earth by 2 to 3 billion people. You know that, right? If you don't know it, I've been telling you about it. And they're using methods that Zbigniew Brzezinski mentioned. It's easier
to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people.
It was easier to control 1 million people, literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
The big new was not playing.
Alright, peace, black family. This is part 1 of why the president of Haiti was truly assassinated. No cap, no conspiracy theories. Listen.
In our one and only interview, Haiti's president talks about why his government hasn't administered a single vaccine and doesn't plan to. And doesn't plan to. And doesn't plan to. But Moise says there is a relationship Haitians have with nature that protects them from coronavirus and a plant that produces certain tea called asosimo that's made with ginger root. I'm telling you what I've witnessed, he says.
And finally, Haiti is one of the countries that will be receiving vaccines from the United States. We will be prepared to deliver those hopefully as early as next week.
All right, so listen. Go ahead, you record it.
It's
I got the car.
Where the other one at? On your
right here. I got in the car accident.
Put it on there. Is that the same one?
Yeah. I got in a car accident. Right?
Yeah.
Perfectly healthy. Perfectly healthy. They rushed me to the hospital. I'm laying on the bed. They sedated me. They put tubes in me. In my arm, my neck, and my throat. Everything they did, all that. I'm asleep. I'm in a hard sleep. But I can hear and see everything, but I can't move. I hear the nurse say, I don't know how he's still here. I shot him 3 times. I woke up in a panic. I pulled this long ass tube out my throat, pulled all the needles out of me, and left the fucking hospital. I left. I've never been sick.
How you feel right now?
I'm weak. I've been throwing up. My body been rejecting it. My body, whatever they gave me, it been rejecting it. I'm telling you no lie. I used the fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
I never had a fucking disease in my life.
Okay, I know that.
I feel my fucking dick sizzling. They pumped me, bro. They pumped me. Well, I don't know what they did, but I heard that bitch say, I hit him 3 times. I don't know why he's still here. I'm in the house. I left the hospital. I pulled all that shit out and left.
Why black people not getting vaccinated?
Telling finding.
When I looked at African American males only, the relative risk was 3.36. It just blew my mind. And that's when I wanted to call Bill Thompson on the phone. And his statement to me was, oh, you found it.
It appears in the final publication is that race in general is downplayed.
Of course it is. Among the blacks, the ones that were getting vaccinated earlier were more likely to have autism.
Temple's twin.
Well, remember that black Americans, only about 1 out of 4 have agreed to take even a single vaccine shot at this point. 3 out of 4 black Americans, and that's more than any other ethnic group in the country, are rejecting the vaccine. Why is that? And I think the answer is because black Americans are wise to what's going on.
I was about to say, that tells me black people aren't as dumb as the globals think they are, because they've got a history of being injected with crap with an experimental shot. Absolutely. So it looks like they're not listening to Run DMC, which you wrote an article about at Natural News. This is real racism than to say, if you can't fly, you can't live, you can't go anywhere, and the majority of it is black people.
Well, yeah, the CDC is trying to pay off black influencers like Hank Aaron, the baseball legend, and they're killing them. You know, I believe Hank Aaron died from the vaccine. DMX, the rapper, died from the vaccine, I believe. It's very clear, a heart attack induced by the vaccine. And frankly, Black Americans, I believe, have a lot of street smarts, a lot of wisdom that is multi-generational wisdom about how they've been hunted down and exterminated through the abortion industry and the cancer industry, now the vaccine industry. And think about it, Alex, the vaccine passports. What are that? What is that? That's the reintroduction of segregation, where you're not allowed to ride the bus. You're not allowed to eat at the cafe because of who you are. It's like they're putting a sign in the window and saying, your people are not welcomed here. And you ask, what do you mean, you people? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's the unvaccinated, which is, and Black Americans are the largest unvaccinated group. This is blatant racism, segregation, and race-based extermination attempts in the United States. If anybody should be angry about this, it should be Black Americans, and I know many of them are. But why are these white liberals just raising their hand and saying, inject me, inject me, inject me? I love authority. I love vaccine suicide. That's who's signing up.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. The goal was to understand the effects of radiation exposure on the human body. While most of the tests were ethical by any standards, some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. Informed consent means your doctor tells you the risk of the treatment you are about to undergo. In too many cases, informed consent was withheld. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret, and they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment, and that was wrong. So today, on behalf of another generation of American leaders and another generation of American citizens, the United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families.
They says it's from the federal government.
Attention urban poor. The Federal Health Department, in conjunction with the Center for Minority Control, is here today with complimentary flu shots. Complimentary means free.
Free needles? God is good.
Hey, whoa. What the hell, Hop, are you people doing? Have you forgotten all your conspiracy learnings? Listen, the government uses projects to test all kinds of poisons. Syphilis, crack, the McChitlins.
Those chitlins made me mix sick.
Now you see what I'm talking about.
Hold on, everybody. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we, the people. I'm sure there's nothing to fear.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs.
How do you know my name?
Because we're your friends. Now come on over here and drop your pants.
No, Muriel, it's a trick.
It's just a flu shot. Don't listen to that fool.
Aha! Flu, F-L-U. Fool, F-U-L. Coincidence? I don't think so. Come on, people. Let's tell them they can take their flu shots and shove them up their Arsenio.
Yeah, just leave me my Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and Social Security, and I'll be fine with no help from nobody.
Hold up. Step back. Go black. All right, we'll just find another way to get your DNA.
Good, Rick. We were healthy before you got here, and we'll be healthy long after you go.
In his neighborhood, they had no idea what he was up to, that he was working with the South African germ warfare program. Larry Ford was messing around with chemical biological warfare.
Larry was a wonderful fellow, mad as a hatter. He used to rock up in South Africa, having flown intercontinental flights with a trousers pocket full of goodies in sealed vials that he claimed were new and wonderful organisms and could do the most wonderful things on Earth.
Larry Ford had mutated cholera, typhoid, anthrax, botulism, bubonic plague, and had also come up with germs that he called Kaffir-killing germs. Kaffir, as you may know, in Afrikaans, is the equivalent of the N-word. So these are germs that were specifically engineered to kill only black people.
In other words, an ethnic biological weapon. Had Project Coast really gone this far?
From the beginning, this idea of can we find a way to control the size of the black population was considered one of the most important areas of research. It got even more important over time as the size of the black population and the seriousness of the uprisings increased. So that's one reason why they got into genetic modification, research into is there a way to have contraceptives that could somehow basically sterilize blacks without them knowing it, and kind of all kinds of what at the time or in hindsight seemed like pretty far out research.
There was some talk about an ethnic weapon Project Coast working on that was, quote, black bomb.
That was great, yeah. That was the most fun I've had in my life. That whole episode of the ethnic weapon was very well set out in court, in the court papers. What happened is we had the objective to synthesize a certain protein that was in sperm for contraceptive purposes. The objective was that if you could immunize a woman against sperm, then you would make her infertile. We were asked to do this by another country who had a population explosion problem as part of an exchange of technology. They were giving us other stuff. They asked, well, we haven't got the time or the place to do that. Will you guys do that?
More thing, and I'm leaving it at that. No matter what verse you quote, no matter what book you pull a verse from, the entire book was written for the children of Israel and Israel only. Acts 10:36, the word was given to the children of Israel. Secondly, what you need to realize is that most of those books that you're quoting from are letters to the children of Israel. If I mail you something personally, and someone else in your household takes that letter, opens it, would it make sense for them to apply it to themselves? No, because the letter was not written to them, it was written to you. You just so happen to be in the same household and they got a hold of it. Just like what Christianity did. Those European Christians during slavery got a hold of our Bible, removed over 300 books, and then used the rest of that Bible to enslave us. And the reason why they removed all of those books is because they took away the most important books so that they could take the rest of the book and apply it to themselves. And then they whitewashed the rest of the book. They applied it to themselves. And then as time went on and slavery ended, they decided, well, we can apply it to everybody else as well, since we currently can't keep them in shackles and chains anymore. So this is going to be another way that we can enslave them, by allowing them to side with the enemy, when the Bible clearly says not to take the customs and the ways of the heathen. Yet we allowed them to put a church on every corner in our neighborhoods. You don't see more churches anywhere else than you do in a black neighborhood. And every church in our black neighborhoods has a giant pagan cross right on top. And then you go in there and you see a black man praising and preaching a white man. When the Bible says he's black, for one, he's a Jew from the tribe of Judah. Now, if Christianity didn't get us to believe that the Old Testament was done away with, then we would study the book of Deuteronomy 28 that tells you exactly who the Jews are, so-called black people. But Christianity did away with half of that book, so no one studies it. But see, you can't fool somebody that's awake, which is why I'm not falling for anything you're saying. John 3:16, for he so loved the world. What world? Because Hebrews 11:3 lets you know that there are multiple worlds of people, not just one. Joel 2:27 says that the Messiah is the Lord of Israel and none else. Matthew 15:24 lets you know that he was sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, nobody else. Isaiah 45:17 says Israel has salvation and Israel will be saved in the day of the Lord. Revelation 21:12 says that the gates of heaven are named. The 12 names of the 12 tribes of Israel. Oh, and one more thing. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. He's still talking about the Israelites that were living like Gentiles. He saw them as the same. In his eyes, they were no different.
So the bill has hit Governor Abbott's desk and has been signed by Governor Abbott. Basically, the anti-sanctuary city bill has been passed and is now law. And what that bill says is that if local law enforcement or state police view a criminal activity afoot, they make a stop on that state crime, and then they can inquire into the status of an individual's residence. Are they a lawful U.S. citizen? Are they here with a green card? Are they a permanent resident alien? Or are they here illegally without documentation? And if they are here illegally without that documentation, then the feds can get involved and then they can take it from there. I think this is a fantastic law. It is time to start enforcing the laws that are on the books instead of the state and local officials legislating from their own little tiny offices.
It's an awful law because it's nothing more than a legal way for law enforcement to racially profile Mexicans and Hispanics. This law was written into existence by Governor Abbott to specifically go after a said group of demographics here in the state of Texas. Secondly, it is awful that we want to call them illegal immigrants to the point to where if a cop does not do his job according to this law, he can be charged and arrested, and the cities can be given a $25,000 fine per day. Well, we'll put a cop in jail for not asking about his immigrant status, but we won't put cops in jail for shooting and killing unarmed black people.
That's not true, and
Thirdly,
that's way
I think
too far of a step.
awful to
Murder
call
is
them-
against the law.
Yeah, but it's not against the law when you kill black people and you're a cop. See, the problem in America and this state
What about
is,
the Dallas case
but-
where that cop was just
because
charged
there
with
was
murder?
video to show he was
So
absolutely
you can't
lying.
make these broad
No,
statements. It's just
because
simply
often
not true.
there's video, ma'am, where we are killed by cops and nobody ever goes to jail. Ask Eric Garner's family that. Ask the family right there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Brother Alton Sterling's family.
But your
they're
statement
not getting
is not
justice. So
correct,
video don't mean
Juanel.
nothing for us.
Your
But let's get
statement's
back
not
to the
correct.
immigrants. I would say to the Hispanic and Mexican community, what you got to do now, hook up with the black community and unite in political power, because if Mexicans and black people unite in Texas, we can control the governor, we can control the lieutenant governor, and we can control politics in Texas, period. I'm saying to the Latino brothers and sisters, don't fight them by yourself. If you hook up with black people and we unite, I'm telling you, we can run Texas and then pass laws to deal with those who hate us.
You're advocating for criminal activity, Quanell. These people are not here lawfully. They need to do what our ancestors did, what many Mexicans have done.
Well, no,
what
wait a minute.
Many, don't interrupt
Your
me.
ancestors came here illegally. Wasn't nothing legal about your ancestors. They came illegally and they murdered, they raped, they pillaged a whole race of people. This country, Texas, Arizona, and California, belongs to the Mexicans.
Quanell, get back
it was
to the
stole
point.
from them.
You
So
tell
when
me to
quote
get back
your
to the point.
ancestors, they came
No,
here
no,
illegally.
you're not being fair to me here. You say stay on topic. I say, okay, we'll stay on topic. And then as soon as we start talking about illegal immigration,
ancestors.
you go back to the black issue. Let's stay on topic.
Your
Quanell.
ancestors
Give
are the
me-
master illegal immigrants.
Give me the opportunity to respond in that, you know what? We're all Americans here. And if you are here legally, absolutely, then we need to come together and we need to pass good laws for enforcing the laws.
Well, perhaps the Native
Okay?
Americans should have passed laws against your ancestors.
Are you? Who are you to make nations and countries and governments conspire to turn maps upside down to hide truth from you? Who are you? You got to think about that. Who are you to the point that they will lie in books globally? Who are you to the point that they would spend trillions and billions of dollars to confuse you, to deny you your truth about who you are? Who are you? What is the mystery behind your identity to the point that globalists, governments around the world will conspire together in secrecy to keep you blind to who you are? You must be something mighty, mighty powerful. You must be something mighty, mighty powerful for the whole world to be in on your demise, for the whole world to be in on your agreement of extermination. Who are you? I tell you who you are. You are the children of the descendants that the greatest crime on this planet has been committed against. You are the children who are the owners of the greatest landmass on this planet. You are the children that have survived an atrocity that no one wants to speak of. Who are you? You are the indigenous aboriginals, the owners of Turtle Island, the descendants of the ancient ones. That's who you are. And those who have done you wrong will face their demise.